Braithwaite, Mr. Industry C1, here with Hip Hop Real Estate at the historic Reggie Lewis Center. It's all about politics. Don't forget to vote November 5th. It is what it is. We got John Connolly in the building. We got Marty Walsh. So let's go step on inside and see what the issues are and see what their platform is about. Don't forget, November 5th, Hip Hop Real Estate is here.
So pleased to welcome you tonight on behalf of the Roxbury Community College family. We want to welcome you to our campus for this historic event.
Marty Walsh and John Connolly represent the new generation of leadership, both members of Generation X. As candidates, they have begun deep and meaningful conversations with us as we try to move Boston forward. We will expect this level of engagement and conversations to continue. Our theme tonight is real simple. We got two candidates, one Boston, your choice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is an exciting night. This is an important night. We welcome you here to Roxbury Community College. We welcome our candidates, Representative Walsh and Councilor Connolly. We realize that you have had two televised debates, you've had many conversations, but we believe this could be the pivotal debate because this community has power. This community is important. This community could make the difference in this race, and will. Statewide, 69% of white households own their homes, but only 32% of Black, Latino, and Asian households do. With this gap, Massachusetts ranks 50th. As mayor, what would you do to close this divide in Boston? I'll start with you.
One of the things I would do is I would look to build housing, 2- and 3-family housing, on vacant lots in the city of Boston. I think it's an important piece that we can do. I would create a first-time home buyer program to allow people the opportunity and work with small banks in our city so that they would be able to give the loans they need for people. We have a program similar to that right now in the city of Boston, but we have a better program with CDCs, where we're able to take a house, the city would build a house, would be reimbursed when the house is built, and allow first-time home buyer programs. We have a lot of vacant lots in our communities, particularly in Roxbury, in Hyde Park, in Mattapan, in Dorchester, in, am I missing somewhere? Reverend, where am I missing? Dorchester, I got it. You know, and I think that's one of the things we have to do. You know, when we go around, as I was campaigning in Dudley area the other day, you realize there's two big challenges. One is the unemployment rate is over 19, almost 20%, and people rent their property. And they're struggling every single day, and people are being forced out of the neighborhood. And what people are concerned about in the city of Boston and parts of my district in Common Square, they're concerned about gentrification. So I think as we build more opportunities for employment in our inner city, in those neighborhoods, we need to make sure that we also supply housing in those neighborhoods and give people the opportunity to buy those houses so they can live in those houses, and they can also rent those apartments to people that want to stay in the city of Boston. I also think we have to go a little broader than that. We have some major problems right now with the federal government. President Obama is not getting the cooperation of the United States Congress. And by not getting that cooperation, they're having problems with budgets. This year's Boston Housing Authority budget was cut $22 million. So some of our seniors that live in subsidized housing and some of the people that live in developments, there's trouble. We're cutting back on services. And with the government shutdown of last week, for the time was shut down, when they came up with the deal sounds like it's a good deal. It's not a good deal. The city of Boston is going to be cut more money next year because of that deal they cut that didn't take into account of the people of the inner cities of the countries around this country, in the cities around this country. We are one of those cities. So we need to have a full comprehensive plan, not just for first-time home buyers, but we also need to make sure that we create more low-income housing, and not all in one neighborhood. We need to spread it across the city of Boston so people get a chance to live in other neighborhoods. And we also need to make sure that we create more workforce housing so families that don't have the ability to put a down payment down on a house today will have that opportunity to be able to save some money and at some point be able to buy their American dream, their house.
So we have probably the equity gap in its clearest terms when it comes to housing, because we're squeezing everybody out of this city. And you can look at Dudley as the prime example right now. It's great things happening in Dudley, the Ferdinand building, some of the changes that are going to come on Melnia Cass, but the question is, who's it going to benefit? And we need to be so mindful that right now, as developers buy up brownstones and vacant lots in and around Dudley and develop them, that this is going to have the effect of bringing in a wave of gentrification. And I'm not anti-gentrification. That can breathe new life into neighborhoods. But what we've got to balance is the fact that it can also price out lifetime renters. It can price out lifetime residents. And it can destroy any mix in a neighborhood that allows people from every walk of life to find their place in their home. And so we have got to be so mindful of this throughout the city, because we're seeing it happen everywhere. Dudley is just the latest spot in a trend that squeezes everybody out and drives that gap to where we are just the very rich and the very poor in this city. So what do? Well, for starters, we got to pass the Community Preservation Act, because that's how we're going to access more funding to get housing done. And it's easy to talk about bold visions here, but we got to find the funding. I'll lead a full charge to get the Community Preservation Act passed so we can access those funds to get real housing policy accomplished here. Then we got to be aggressive. And we got to be aggressive across 3 layers of housing: affordable, workforce, and middle market. And we got to make sure we're developing all of it in every neighborhood, because what one neighborhood needs for housing is not what another neighborhood necessarily needs. But we need to make sure every neighborhood has pathways to home ownership for everyone, wherever you are on that socioeconomic ladder. We need to promote those programs like the Soft Second that helps people get that help with their mortgage and that's down payment. We've got to promote aggressive programs through the city to make it easier to obtain that financing. We also shouldn't pretend that just because it's 2013 that we still don't have discrimination in lending. We do, and we need to make sure that that's not happening and promote aggressively all efforts to make it easier for people to access that capital to buy that home. But let's talk about one last piece of this. You're not going to be able to buy a home if you can't get a good job. And that's why we need to be focused on a real job creation strategy. And it's why I would ask you to look at my economic development plan that prioritizes job creation and wealth creation in communities of color, and make sure that we're thinking about eliminating those barriers to entry, whether it's a bonding requirement that keeps a company from accessing city contracts that a mayor can wipe out like that, or it's that ability for a small entrepreneur to access a liquor license to open a restaurant. We got to eliminate these barriers of entry so that we can create wealth for entrepreneurs who will create jobs for our neighborhoods and communities across this city, and that will lead to the opportunity to buy those houses as long as we're aggressively building them.
We want to thank both the candidates tonight for this stimulating conversation. We thank you for being here. There are 500 of you here tonight, and that is a powerful statement. We just want to remind you of 2 more things. Do not forget to vote on November 5th. And then do not forget that it is up to you to, in the words of one of our candidates, hold people's feet to the fire. Good night, everybody. God bless you, and thank you.
John, great speech today.
Thank you.
And your top priority with arts and entertainment, what would be your top priority?
I want to have an arts and culture cabinet level department that's going to be run by artists and promote a vibrant art scene across this city and a vibrant cultural scene across this city where we're celebrating every corner of our arts community and every culture in Boston.
When it comes to arts and entertainment, which saved my life, what would be your top priority to help the young people with arts and entertainment?
Oh, I'm going to make the arts and entertainment a cabinet level position here in the city of Boston. We need to make sure that we give opportunities in every neighborhood for young people to be able to express themselves. It's something that's important. I've watched it work in the recovery community with young people struggling with addiction, where when arts and entertainment are in there, it turns their life around. It's a sense of accomplishment. I think it's very important. Not only that, but Boston has produced a lot of great artists and a lot of great entertainers that got their start on the streets of Roxbury and the streets of Dorchester and other places, so I'm proud of that.
I'm here with my idol, Liz Walker, the Reverend Liz Walker. Is there any key ingredient that you can talk to the young people about the importance of it being a springboard to challenges in life?
Absolutely, creativity. I mean, that's the whole thing of life is to be creative, to come up with new ideas. The world is going to move forward because of arts and entertainment, because people will think in different ways and get outside the box. So creativity is very important to our humanity, to civilization. So I'm all for arts and entertainment.
This is Hip Hop Real Estate with my icon, my idol, Mr. Industry, tuning out. Stay tuned.
I'm a big supporter of arts, and I'll tell you why. Because arts in my neighborhood keeps our neighborhood safe. Arts in my small business districts increases our economic development. Arts in my schools closes the achievement gap. Arts is the soul of our community, and we have got to promote art. We have to make it affordable for artists to be able to live here. We have to make schools teach art to all of our students, whether it's fine art, music, dance, theater, but art. And we have got to make sure that we embrace it from a young age to adulthood, because it does so many positive things for us.
Well, they have to be excited, number one, and that music is one way to excite our young people. And they have to see that those of us that are young at heart are interested in them, going to protect them, and going to really and truly involve them in every level of government and every level of life. And they need to know that. And we don't show them that enough. We don't show the love that they need enough.
Today.
We actually won. We've won the election already because we had 500 people of color here. We had both mayoral candidates here speaking to the issues that are important to people in our communities. I think both of the candidates did a wonderful job here tonight. I actually am personally supporting Marty Walsh because I believe that he's going to work for middle-class families. I believe that he will do as he said he's going to do, open up the trades. We know that there's been issues in the past, but we actually have someone who started a program, helped 60 people get in. We have an opportunity to broaden that. Also, he has a commitment to education, also a commitment to making sure our streets are safe.
Dickerson, what did you feel about today's overall agenda and how many people came out today? How do you feel about our community?
I was pleased with the turnout, for one. Secondly, the mood and the atmosphere was great. This is the let out. People still mingling around, talking, conversing and whatnot. And I thought Marty and John both did a fine job. You know, I'm supporting John Connolly for different reasons. And I like the fact that he is very progressive as it relates to education. His passion for violence that's on the streets. A white man being able to tackle the issue of institutionalized racism. We don't hear politicians talk about racism anymore, you know? And I don't know if they ever talked about it, you know? And so both John and Marty, I consider friends, and I believe they want what's best for the city.
I'm here with Michael Curry, the president of the new NAACP, using old tactics with a new brand of style. Mike, how did you feel about today?
I felt excellent. I think that the turnout was great. I think the numbers are as close to 600 people were here. It was a diverse crowd. I thought the conversation was good. It was specific. It sort of forced the candidates to start thinking about specific plans on what they're going to do for communities of color. So I'm elated, for lack of a better word, that this worked out so well.
Now, today was exciting. We're gearing up for November 5th. What did you hear, and what are you going to take home to the voters?
The main thing is that didn't get talked about, and the reason why our community is in the shape it is because of two things. One is education, and the other is jobs. If our kids had more jobs, if our adults had more jobs, we wouldn't have as much crime. And when you look back, when she asked the question of how would you ensure people of color get downtown, Ray Flynn did it 25 years ago. He put equity requirements in the package that came out, and that's why you have State Street with about 15 black and Hispanic and Asian investors in there. And that was because it was in the package. It's simple to do. You don't put anything out unless there's some equity requirements for people of color.
This is William Dickerson, Senior Pastor of Greater Love Tabernacle. You're watching Hip Hop Real Estate, where it really goes down.